Have you been looking for me? Here I am. And now we're going to be serving you the newspapers and everything they have to say. Let me just be sure we have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante with us, our guest for the review, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so we do not have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante yet. But the first thing on my mind that I just want to put out for you, Ghana, for your reflection, maybe for all of us to do some introspection. You know, sometimes people reach out to me, Messenger on Facebook, different channels, LinkedIn, and I get back to them and I'm so cordial with them. And sometimes they tell me, oh, but Charlie, we felt with everything you do and all that you would be chinchinibio. Oh, it's so humbling to know. And I don't know, because for me, I've seen the best of both sides of life. Abject poverty, wealth as well. So I find myself in the middle. I'm those kinds. You can give me kokonte and mako, I'll eat it. You can give me the continental, intercontinental, whatever. I'm cool with that. So it got me really thinking, especially on the back of the many things that have happened with leaders in our country, about that scene at the Manchia Hospital, which was recorded by the Ashanti Regional Director of the National Service Scheme. I found it rather curious, troubling, interesting, all in one. So I'm not going to put the cart before the horse and pronounce any judgment on anybody, whether it's the doctor in question or the nurse. That is a situation. Work, has all these situations. Here, we have our own situations. But I'm just saying, what would push someone in authority, that high in office, to go to an institution like this and ruffle feathers, flex muscles, show power? We seem to do that too often in this country. The least power someone gets, even an assemblyman, DCE, we've seen it. People saying that someone doesn't even look nice. You heard that DCE, or is it an MCE? He's back at post. We see so many of these, and you ask yourself, what is it that we've put into leadership in this country? But maybe we should go to the root causes. I saw someone post some time back about how even in senior high school, what we knew to be secondary school, so much preferential treatment is given to prefects, And so it gets into people's heads and they feel when we lead, we rather must get everything, forgetting that leadership actually means service. So I ask you, you can share your thoughts with me. What do you think about the reaction of the Ashanti regional boss of the National Service Scheme? In fact, we had to edit out what we put out on radio yesterday and all of that. We had to edit out some of the language because it was very unsavory. Were there no other means of dealing with this situation from the authorities? Now, the nurses, midwives, and others are calling for his head and saying that, look, once he remains at post, within 72 hours, they will go on strike. They will embark on an industrial action. Did we have to get here? Anyway, so you share your thoughts with me via the live stream. What do you think? Was he in error? Do you think it was okay for him to do what he did? And how about the nurses who are saying, we've had enough of such balderdash. And so if this continues, if nothing is done, we'll lay down our tools. Share your thoughts with me. Anyway, let's get into the Daily Graphic as we await hearing from Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. NCA tightens vigilance, commissions frequency monitoring equipment. That's something we started talking to you about in the news. Let's get better details from here. The National Communications Authority has inaugurated a National Broadcasting Monitoring Center, that is a BMC, to help measure transmission parameters of frequency modulation, that is FM, and television in the country. Already in operation at the NCA Tower in Accra, the center will also enable the NCA to secure proof of deviations for enforcement of authorization conditions and be able to adduce evidence in cases of dispute before the National Media Commission or in court. Breaches of distance limitations and station interferences will also be monitored. Now, the BMC is also to ensure that the authority meets the International Telecommunications Union radio communication requirements. The Director General of the NCA, Joe Anochi, at a ceremony to inaugurate the facility yesterday, said the center would ensure better broadcast service quality for consumers. He said, and I quote, "By late 2017, it had become apparent that we could no longer rely exclusively on periodic spectrum monitoring to verify compliance with technical conditions associated with authorizations. Neither could we fully leverage our legacy systems to efficiently manage the increased number of broadcast authorities. And that is the reason for this endeavor. Let me say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Welcome on board, Doc.
Morning, Ben.
Good to have you. I started talking about that situation to do with the NSS boss in the Ashanti region and his outbursts, which unfortunately got recorded. If you listen to what we put out on radio yesterday, that was just the edited version, the fine version. Very distasteful language was used, and barring whatever may have happened between his daughter, the doctor, and the nurse in question, the question has been raised about whether he should have, looking at his office, gone ahead to do what he did, spewed the sort of invectives he rained on this nurse. And what do you think as well about the nurses saying they're going to lay down their tools because these things happen time without number? And especially, Doc, this is a point worthy of notice. I personally have so many friends, nurses, doctors, who have left the country to see greener pastures because they say what they are earning here is a pittance, paltry sums. Now, just in the first quarter, I've not followed the statistics from them, over 3,000 nurses, Ghanaian nurses, left the country. So those who are saying, they are basically saying, we're enduring so much just to be here, paltry sums of money and all of that. And if insult is being added to injury, in 72 hours, we'll lay down our tools. Quick reflections on that.
Yeah, I think it's very unfortunate that we are in that tight rope. Why am I saying that? If you look at what transpired, a little cool head would resolve everything. All right. There was a problem with prescription of drugs and whatever. But the reaction of the father must be condemned.
Let me just clarify. Let me just clarify. I'm sorry I have to interject. But the bit about a wrong prescription, we've been told, actually didn't happen. It was something else. There was no wrong prescription. Okay. Right. Just to clarify.
Okay. If there was nothing like that, let's shelve it. But let's look at the real issue. Did it warrant the action of the father? No. The father could have gone there if he was not happy with something, could have reported to the superiors of the nurse, and then they would take the matter up. All right. Than he doing it himself in that style that we did not approve. Look, every service is very important. And that it doesn't matter where the person, stands in terms of the hierarchy of the organization. We need every hand on deck to make sure that workplaces get, in business. So if you have somebody who is aggrieved by an action of an individual within a system, there is a need for us to know the system, use them, and then for the system to address our challenges. But taking the law into your own hands and then, churning out invectives and all those things doesn't help anybody. You create an environment where there is tension, where there is lack of harmony and all that. Let us remember that we need harmony in all places of work so that we can deliver. These things are not good enough. They go a long way to undermine productivity. Look at the situation that even the ordinary man who has not caused any pain to the nurse or nurses association is going to suffer as a result of somebody's, outburst and all that. That's unfortunate. It amounts to allowing people to atone for the sins of others. What are the sins of the Ghanaian public who are assessing the health needs of the facilities all over this country? And they are going to suffer this type of problem because somebody has crossed the line in that respect. I believe that as public office holders, we must be measured and tempered when we look at what issues that confront us. It doesn't matter how painful it may be or annoying it may be. Let us use the process. I believe that the national serviceman should have, respected the channels of communication within the public service, where if there is any grievance, you pass it through appropriate quarters, and your concern will be addressed. Than you going on that, ballistic, using that ballistic approach. It doesn't help anybody. and it undermines the authority of your own office, and then it affects the beauty of governance that we have in this country. It must be condemned. And then I also want to urge nurses and all medical staff that they also must be able to handle such situations very well. It doesn't matter the provocation. Once you also know that there are rules of the game, you follow the rules, and then we address these things once and for all.
Well, just to top up on that issue, I don't know why. I just find it so curious what this man did. He also went ballistic on not just insulting the lady, but also talking about people who studied general arts in school. And in fact, yesterday, general arts was trending on social media. Well, some of us read general arts. In fact, in my time, based on the scores we got in our institutions that we attended, they were offering us science to go and read it, but that was not what we wanted. So it's interesting that he denigrates those in the general arts and all of that. But, well, maybe we don't qualify in his books.
Anyway. That brings him, that is very unfortunate on this part, because no course is superior than the other. It is your duty as a student or somebody who has gone through a program to make the best use of it. What is he talking about? Is he saying that people who have studied us, like people like my good self and others in this country, we are nothing in this country, or we don't matter? That is a sorry story. We expect something more and better from him as a public, as a representative of the government of this country. And then getting to this level is very, very unfortunate. He must come clean and come and apologize profusely and then go home and sin no more.
To be fair to him, he has issued an apology on Facebook, but some have said that apology on Facebook is an apology of an apology. But we'll leave the authorities to deal with it. Whatever actions the NSS will take, whatever actions the nurses will take, we just pray that peace prevails in the end. And we also pray that this doctor and this nurse will find a way of coming together and working in the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian in our health. But very quickly, the Daily Graphic says, NCA tightens vigilance, commissions frequency monitoring equipment. They have set up a broadcasting monitoring center to help measure transmission parameters of frequency modulation and television in the country so that entities don't overstretch their bandwidth. And it says breaches of distance limitations and station interferences will also be monitored. And this is to meet the International Telecommunications Union radio communication requirements. Your quick take on that?
I think I support this effort by NCA. Want to make sure that they enforce compliance and make sure that people adhere to the rules of the game. Oftentimes, we have seen some disturbing pictures on our screens, some content that are unhealthy for public consumption, and it creates all manner of problems for us. So the challenge over the years is how to deal with this. What are the monitoring mechanisms that you are going to put in place to address them? But from what the gentleman is saying, I think there is good news. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We want to be sure that our media space is free of things that are not necessary, are not important for the development of the people and then this country. So I support the call. They must tighten the news around all those things and then make sure that whoever crosses the line, you are sanctioned. And that also send a message to everybody that it's not always the case that when media people cross the line, you see people coming in to plead for them and all that. Once we do that, we undermine the very institutions we are building. And we all come back one day to come and condemn the very act that we supported once upon a time. We must make sure that the rules of the game are tight and that we are ready to serve the public interest.
Right. This is a bit of a deviation right before I get into two other major stories. But on page 15, there's a celebration of our very own Nathan Kwabena Edisi, popularly known as Bolare, for 25 years of impact. Well, I'll add my voice to that. There are some stalwarts here that we always celebrate, like my own big brother, Kafri Day. And so 25 years of impact, Bolare. Wherever you are, we celebrate you as well for what you've contributed. Yes, there are highs and lows, but for what you've contributed to the industry. Let's quickly go to pages 16 and 20. That's
Congratulations
our
to
wrap.
him too for a good job done.
Right.
You always go places. Yeah.
So page 16, 2023 budget debate kicks off with disagreements, and the majority and the minority are sharply divided over the 2023 budget statement and the economic policy of the government. When the debate on the budget started yesterday, the minority said the document offered no hope to the ordinary Ghanaian, given the current economic situation in the country, but the majority said it offered the best answer to turn around the country's economic fortunes. We also know that Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta was not there. He has asked the minority to cooperate with his side in Parliament as they debate the budget. But the minority has made its stance clear that this budget is not going to offer any hope to the ordinary Ghanaian. Dr. Kasiela Forson, for example, who is the MP for Ajumako Enyan Esiem, said the government had introduced 23 different tax measures in the 2023 budget, naming some of them as an increase in the upper limit of, let me just get to that. Personal income to 35%, the introduction of additional withholding tax on gains from the realization of assets and liabilities, reversal of benchmark values, the reintroduction of road tolls, and an increase in VAT by 2.5%. That would put Ghana's VAT rate at 21%, the worst or the highest in Africa. This is just a few of them. Let me also do that story on page 20. The National Communications Authority has successfully registered 42.7 million subscriber identification module, that is SIM cards, of mobile network operators in the country. They are the SIM cards that have gone through the two-stage registration process of linking them to the Ghana card and also capturing the biometric data of their owners to match the cards. Out of the number, it is estimated that about 3.8 million of the subscribers belong to the biggest mobile telecommunications company in the country, MTN Ghana. But guess what? There is that window that also says that some over 9 million, in fact, subscribers are set to lose their SIM cards by tomorrow because they have not completed the registration process. Your quick take on these two stories, Doc?
Yes, I will start with the SIM card registration. I don't know where we are now because they set a date, they change it, people appeal for the date to be extended and all that. Why are we doing this thing to ourselves? We need to have a firm date where we make sure that we go according to the time set. Once we do that, we are fine. If you want to use the SIM, I believe that, yes, you will need to go through the processes. Once you get the processes right, you are in business. That's it. Let me move on to the budget. If you look at the budget, I must say that I'm not an economist, but at least I can also read and make meaning and also have conversation with people to strengthen my knowledge in this area. If you look at the budget, it has both positive and negative. There's no doubt that some of the measures the government trying to put forward will improve our lot with regard to improvement of the economy and then make life better for everybody here. There's no doubt about that. If you look at the 7 point that the government listed, aggressive mobilization of revenue, which is in fact a positive point, that if you look at the targets compared against what they actually received, you realize that there was a shortfall, and that the government now want to strengthen the process of increasing revenue. That's a fine one. Streamline and rationalize expenditure. It's an important one, even though we have said it time and again that government must work towards, cutting expenditure, unnecessary ones. Government had been adamant, but thank God they come back to it to do it. They boost local productive capacity. All right, that's a good thing, but is the government realizing this thing now? People have said it time and again that we need to support infant industry, build their capacity so that they can compete and then help us to deal with things that we import, that we can produce them here. So if government have found a need to come back, fine. Promote and diversify export. This is the game changer. We need to be able to do a lot to export so as to have hard currency to manage our local situation. And this thing has been a talk show, not than more than the actual situation on the ground. So if government want to go there, fine. And then also to expand the digital infrastructure to reap the full benefit of it and all that. If you look at the other side of it, which is problematic, is the issue of what e-levy. If you look at the e-levy, we said it time and again that look, there's nothing wrong levying a tax on people because you can never run any state without revenue. So reduce it. An expert was pointing to 0.5 to 1%. Government never listened to this. Government push was so annoying. Government was not prepared, ready to listen to this. But today, they've come back after wasting everybody's time. What they forgot was that if you sign up to what the concept of good governance, you always want to listen to stakeholders. And that was missing. I'm happy they've come back and then they've seen the light. The issue of what cutting down government expenditure, that's a fine one. But the size of government, what are they talking about? If you have ministers over 80 and you still want to maintain them, I don't get it. The Constitution tells us that we can only maintain 19 for cabinet purposes. Why can't you reduce it to 19 and support the effort of those ministers with what? Directors, chief directors, and whatnot. It's a waste of everybody's time. Government must look at it and bring it back. And then the issue of what? You are looking for resources. We are in dire need of resources. And yet we have a policy that threw away resources. Look at the toll booth issue. It is conspicuously missing in the budget. One would have thought that they would have brought it forward.
Right.
All right. To introduce where is that? The little money that we get from that aspect of our economy. You don't want to what? You have thrown it away. I mean, it doesn't help anybody. Look at the issue of dealing with imports.
Right.
That we are now going to strengthen the capacity of industries to be able to produce certain things that we consume here, rice and whatnot. My goodness, this people have said it time and again. Why was government wasting time? Let government know that the more time they waste, the disservice they do to themselves and this state, and their records will be there forever. The last point I want to touch on, the issue of no hampers, no this. When did government know this? All right. We waste time and resources printing calendars and all that. This is unnecessary. Sending people abroad because they are members of boards of SOUs and all that. Well, what I can say is that better late than never. But going forward, I will urge government to listen. Governance is nothing but dialogue, give and take. So if they want to take a certain posture that they will not want to listen to it, then they are not in governance. They are in something else. And let us remember that governance is nothing but what contest of ideas and referendum of your work. At the end of the day, it's their work that will stand. If they are not able to leave any legacy, they will have their fingers bent when we come to 2024.
On the back page of the Daily Graphic, Koulibaly Wednesday for Senegal, making them the first African nation to qualify for the last 16. And that is their first last 16 appearance since 2002 when they shocked France in their opening in the match. Let's do a number of papers very quickly. I'll pick out, because most of them we have already digested in the Daily Graphic. Republic Press this morning says fire destroys over 20 shops at Kantamanto, and military officer in court over defilement and incest. So we'll focus on the Kantamanto story. The Daily Guide, I just want to do this one. Sacked PPA boss's trial begins. That story on page 3. And the trial of sacked Chief Executive Officer of Public Procurement Authority, Ajanim Boateng Ajay, and his brother-in-law, Francis Kweku Ahin, who are accused of using public office for profit yesterday, started before an Accra High Court, with the Office of the Special Prosecutor calling its first witness in the case. The OSP called Manasseh Azure Awene, a journalist, as its first prosecution witness, and he told the court that he had caused the witness statement to be filed on his behalf and intended to tender it in evidence. The third one would be from the Chronicle newspaper. It's something we've already looked at in a way. Ghana will be the loser if the minority rejects the budget. Abna Osei, Deputy Minister for Finance, says so. Quick reactions to these three stories?
Yeah, I will touch on the Ghana will be the loser if minority reject the budget. I'm not sure minority will do that, because they also are in this country. They think and care for this country. So I'm not sure they will do that. But they have served notice that if there is something in the bill, in the budget, which doesn't augur well for development and for, sustenance of the lives of these people, of the people of this country, obviously they will kick against it. I believe that we are building a society, and that anything that doesn't augur well for us, we have to find a way of dealing with it. But I'm not sure that the minority will kick the budget out. No, it is in their own interest to support it. If there are aspects of it which are not in the best interest of us, point it out, and if need be, we expunge them. But I don't think that, no, at all.
What do you think of the Kantamanto issue? Year in, year out, same story.
It is a difficult situation that every time we come back to this problem, we talk about it. Committees, reports are made out of this, and implementation, we don't see anything about this. We need to, those who plan the cities and those who manage city life and all that, they must up their game.
Right.
We need to take the conversation a bit higher to include all stakeholders to find lasting solution to this problem, because they destroy nothing but life and property, which is a key ingredient in governance. Let us remember that governance is contract. That state protect me and my property and I obey you. So if every year people lose their property and all that, you create a problem and a situation that people begin to show lack of interest in the state affairs, and that create a problem because their properties are not protected. We need to do something meaningful about this.
Let's wrap with our last batch of stories, and then I'll wrap with the Daily Dispatch. So in that same paper, The Chronicle, apart from the Ghana will be the loser if minority rejects the budget, Dufour congratulates Black Stars, that is Dr. Kwabena Dufour. And again, quoting the NSS boss, "That's your useless nursing that you do," he tells nurse at Manshia Government Hospital. Your useless nursing. If we didn't have nurses, only God knows. Anyway, so the Finder newspaper, Chief of Staff inspires women in energy sector to be shining examples. YEA secures job for 800 artisans to work with Ashaiman to Akosombo road contractor. There's also removal of e-levy threshold inappropriate. That's according to the IEA. And be part of budget debate minority to Ofori Atta. I would have you react to the one about removing the threshold on the e-levy being inappropriate according to the IEA. But let me first bring in the Daily Dispatch headlines. Newmont, AngloGold and other mining giants agreed with Veep on the Gold for Crude initiative. That's according to the Bank of Ghana boss. But we also know that entities like the Chamber of Mines, Dr. Kone, among others, the community mining systems have said that there are so many gray areas that ought to be addressed. Apart from that, we can also look at government community mining created over 85,000 jobs in a year. And according to the UK's Harriet Thompson, over 70% of cocoa lands in Ghana will not be suitable again by 2050 if those are her thoughts. Let's wrap with those quick headlines. Doc, any reflections on them?
I'll look at the e-levy thing. The threshold is removed, and there are conversations around it. Some say it's going to help us, some say not. I want to look at it this way. If you maintain the threshold and you are saying that from 100 cities, people are going to pay 1 city as tax and all that, don't you also see a situation where people decide not to pay 100 but would send 90 just to avoid the payment of 1 city? I think that, I'm not an economist, but I think that you can allow this one to pass so that the amount you send, the tax is put on it and you pay, so that people do not avoid the payment of the tax. I know we are in difficult times, I have no doubt in my mind, but we can also not run any meaningful society without finance. And the government, as part of its capacity, extractive capacity, must generate resources. And one way that they can do that is through e-levy. They have worsened the situation, because when initially the conversation came up, experts were telling them that put it between 0.5 and 1. And by this time, you wouldn't have such opposition. But well, better late than never. Let's see how it goes. And I think that it's going to assist our society to generate enough revenue to run this country. The other difficulties associated with other taxation, they must, if they can take a second look at them, it will help us so that this one will balance out.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time with us this morning. We're very grateful. Do you have any prediction for the Black Stars as they lock horns with Uruguay on Friday? Any predictions?
It's my hope and prayer that they win and win massively. We don't want that draw that we all sit on tenterhooks and all that. They should go in and then give them 1-0 or 2-1. Then we come home smiling. I have stopped watching soccer because the trauma that they put me through, I don't want to continue. But it's my national team. So I am with them with prayer. And I know that today we are going to stage a revenge, and then we leave something indelible on their minds, that what the glory they deny us the last World Cup, we are here for, a revenge.
All right, and that will be Friday, actually. But thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation. Up next, we give you quite a dose of sports. Senegal did it for us yesterday. A few days ago, Morocco beat the second-place team in the world, Belgium, and we'll see how it pans out for us on Friday. But sports up next, Tuesday.